Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Steve and Crypto Show, presented by thestevestrout.com. This is Steve, and I will be flying solo for this episode. Might happen sometimes, and crypto will probably run a few too. Now, I want to use this show personally to help promote and offer creative types a outlet to promote whatever they're working on, their projects and all that, like we did on the site with my whole project series that hopefully you guys checked out. I kind of want to extend that into the Steve and Crypto Show. So hopefully a lot of you follow and joined us as readers of thestevestrout.com. If you did, you know I have a love of horror. Crypto does too. Maybe even more so, but I particularly have a mild obsession with horror hosts, which is something I'm sure we will discuss to a great extent on the show. Probably actually start to annoy you guys. Maybe not, we'll see. Well, anyways, this past October on the site, I ran a series of profiles featuring a handful of up-and-coming and legendary horror hosts. I had a great time researching and putting together that collection. Like, basically fed my obsession even more so. So each post featured a mini biography, some photos, and a Q&A with each of the hosts. Some of the hosts I had were, legends like Svengoolie, Count Gordeval, Dr. Gangrene, Penny Dreadful, and even some up-and-comers like Lilith von Bloodworth and the Queen of Screams, Malfolia. That was fun. That series was a blast. And, I picked up a whole new audience for the site. I made a ton of new friends, lots of acquaintances, including our first guest that we're featuring here on this episode of the Steve and Crypto Show, an artist named Bradley Baird. Bradley is another horror kid. Grew up loving old monster movies and everything just like us. And he built quite a following in horror circles with his own tribute to horror hosting, which we discussed in our chat. So let's check it out. Meet Bradley Baird.
Hello, this is Agoro, host of the Agoro Show, and you are listening to the Steve and Crypto Show. So keep your ears open and your mouth shut.
All right, welcome to the Steve and Crypto Show. We're talking with artist Bradley Baird, who is a good friend and supporter of everything we do, and we support him for his awesome horror art. First, I want to congratulate you on the praise you've been getting from horror hosts and David S. Malchin's stream he did this past weekend. So that's pretty awesome, man.
It was incredible. I had the honor of being able to help David, set up the interview, set up the hosts. I gave him a list of about 15 different hosts and all their, their, how to contact them, all their information, links to the show. And he basically went off the information that I gave him, chose the hosts. And, I had no idea that he was going to give me the shout out and everything that he did. It was an incredible honor to be able to work with him on it. And he's such a great guy. Him and I have had such a great relationship over the past year since we met through our mutual contact, Roberta Solomon, who used to be Cremation Mortem. So it was an incredible honor. It was a great experience.
That's pretty cool. So let's talk about the 13 months of horror project that you did, was it a couple of years ago now?
Well, I did it 5 years ago. It actually was kind of a fluke. I started out doing it for 1 month just for family and friends. And on the 7th or 8th day that I was doing it, Professor Griffin, a mutual friend of ours, happened to get him to start participating, checking out my artwork and everything. And it ended up my wife talked me into doing it for a year. And I was at the conundrum in December of trying to figure out how am I going to fill up a year of horror personalities. And I talked to Professor Griffin, Joseph Patinos, and I said, hey, Joseph, what if I start doing horror hosts? And he said, hey, that's a great idea. And I said, well, can you kind of give me a list of, some of the hosts that I might want to do? So he gave me a list of about 20, 25 hosts or so. And the more and I started doing the hosts on January 1st. And the more I started doing it, I realized how rich the genre really was. And I saw how many hosts there were, classic, current, and I just figured, wow, I can continue this, throughout the rest of the project. And it just, it was something that nobody had ever really done before. People have drawn Frankenstein a million times, but how many people have drawn all these different hosts? So it was kind of, I was kind of putting my foot into waters that hadn't been really explored before. So it ended up being a lot of fun. And since it was the 5th anniversary this year, I decided to go ahead and represent it, but add a lot of new artwork. At the time I was doing it, I only had, 24 hours. I was doing it daily. So I literally, I'd get up in the morning, I ate, slept, and drank horror hosts, and I had to have it posted by midnight. So I wasn't able to get the artwork where I wanted it to be. So this was a chance for me to be able to revamp, do little touches to the artwork and get it the way I wanted it. And now for my October finale, I'm doing all new artwork for that. I'm including all the original October artwork, but now I'm including a lot of the new hosts that, have sprung up in the past 5 years to give them an opportunity to be included in it as well. So it's a lot of fun. It's going to be cool. The finale is going to be very cool.
Right. So you actually finished One Piece every day.
Every day. It was shit. Well, here was my schedule. This is what was crazy about it was I was working full time at the Wynn Hotel here in Las Vegas at the time, and I was working on the phones. So the cool thing was I was able to kind of sketch in between calls and everything while I was doing while I was doing my job. And basically what I would do would be in the morning, I'd already have who I was going to do in mind for that day. The night before I had printed up, sometimes I didn't have reference photos, so I'd have to go into videos of their show and do print screen the images that I thought. So a lot of them were kind of composite sketches because I didn't have the direct photo that I wanted. And so I'd sketch it out at work. When I got home, I would help my daughter with her homework, and by about 7 o'clock at night, I would scan it, get it into Illustrator, and then trace it out with the pen tool, choose my color palette, and then I would have to write up a biography. And it was kind of a self-imposed challenge. I didn't really have to have it in by midnight, but I made sure every night it was in by midnight. I had it posted by midnight. And then after midnight, I would have to start figuring out who I was going to do the next day. So I'd have to go through, find out information on the shows. And I literally would get to bed sometimes, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and have to get up at 5:30 and do it all over again. So I did that for 13 months. And by the time I got done, after I presented on Halloween, I literally slept for a day. It was a grueling schedule. I didn't think I could do it, but I did. And it's a very proud accomplishment in my life that I did it. And that's why now I'm just I want to take it to the next level and really give the fans of my artwork and people who have never experienced it that daily kind of rush of being able to learn a little bit about the genre and see somebody new every day that they haven't seen before.
Right. And you didn't have this planned out in advance. You didn't have this is my next 5 horror hosts I'm going to draw. You did it one day at a time.
One at a time. It was crazy. And the thing was, there were certain hosts that at the time I did it, I didn't have time to go back. I was just kind of going off the top of my head. And there were a few portraits that I did that I was very unhappy with when I got done. But I couldn't go back and redo it because I didn't have time, because that's what I did that day and it had to be posted that night. So the cool thing is, like, my Ms. Monster was one of the ones I was the most disappointed in. I really wanted to do something spectacular, and to me it came out substandard, so I didn't even include the original one in this presentation. And I, created a new Ms. Monster for this, and I'm really happy with the way she came out. So, that's the fun of what I'm doing now, is I'm kind of perfecting what I did 5 years ago.
Is there any thought of maybe publishing it in a book or something?
I would love to in the future. The thing is, what I want to do is, there's still a lot of classic hosts and forgotten hosts that I still haven't even gotten to, that I would still, it's kind of my goal. I really want to draw almost every horror host that exists. And so someday, I would love to do that and be able to present it with a lot of new pieces that people haven't seen yet.
Right. Who have been some of your personal favorite subjects in the series?
Wow. It's really kind of hard to say. The one thing about the genre is I know all the huge majority of the hosts out there, and I really kind of don't have that. I try not to have a favorite. Everybody knows I love Svengoolie. I watch Sven every Saturday night. Rich is a great guy, and so Rich is a big influence on me. He contacted me about halfway through the when I did the original 13 months. He contacted me about halfway through, and let me know how much he was enjoying my artwork and everything. So I mentioned him about having him as the October finale. So that's how So Rich is one of my favorites. But I mean, there's so many out there. They're my family and they're my friends, and I love them all, and they know I love them all. So it's really hard to pick out favorites, but I just enjoy when I find a really good photo of somebody, being able to take it and put it into my style and add little touches and give it a flair that, that personalizes it for both me and them. But I haven't told anybody yet, but I am going to, for my finale, and I haven't even told Rich yet, but I am doing a Son of Svengoolie piece that will be presented on Halloween as well as part of the new finale. So,
well, that's cool. Well, everybody's going to hear it here first, then.
Yes, this is the first. Yeah,
that's the big announcement.
That's exciting.
I haven't even told him yet. It's almost done. I've almost got it ready, so I'm really happy with it. He's a really good guy. When I don't know if you caught the horror host series I did last October on the stevestrout.com, and I did a series of profiles on. I was doing like 2 every week. I think that's how we met through that. Yeah, but I did one on him. Talked with him a little bit about it, and he was cool and like sent me a signed picture thanking me for taking care of the horror host fam and all that. And he's really, really like good guy. He is. I mean, Rich has been so supportive of my art. And he even featured, my art on his show one time, and it just blew me away how much people are really enjoying what I do, and it's an honor to get that kind of accolades from people like Rich and David.
So what tell us a little about your background in art. Do you go to like art school, or are you just self-taught?
Well, I started as a kid. Art is one thing I've always done. It's been something that has always been a part of me. I started off being self-taught. When I was a kid, I was a big fan of comic books and Dick Tracy. I love Spider-Man, Batman, and like Frank Miller's Daredevil. I was really influenced by Basil Gogos, Bernie Wrightson. Basil he's amazing. I got to meet him. Just a phenomenal guy. And so these are some of the influences I had as a kid learning. And I didn't have a lot of formal training until about when I got out of high school. I moved out to Vegas. I took some classes at the community college, but I didn't really have much formal training. Most of it's, just me doing my own thing. I did go back to college about 7-8 years ago, and I got my degree in computer graphics, which is the good thing, because now that's allowing me to be able to, use the computer programs to digitalize my art after I draw it out on paper. Everything I do on paper first, so I have an original. I never design strictly in the computer, but so that's kind of my process.
Have you worked in any other mediums? You paint or anything, or you just strictly drawing and
Yes,
graphics?
I do. I work. The only medium I really haven't worked in is oil, but I do acrylics, pen and ink, pencils. If you check out like my Facebook page, you'll see this creature from the Black Lagoon I did from the movie Creature Walks Among Us, and it's a acrylic painting that I did. I got about 100 hours on it. I started off being a photorealist, and I would put hundreds of hours on one piece. But the problem with that is it's just not lucrative. And so I happened on this minimalistic style when I was in school. I met a teacher who ended up being my mentor, and he made me do minimalism. And at a point when I didn't want to be a minimalist, and I had no desire to do it, and he thrust it upon me, and I ended up liking it, and that's how I developed this style. It was just kind of a fluke. It was something very unexpected. So
that's cool, man. So tell us about your website. You have two different sites. One is basically a store, and the other is promoting your art.
Yes. Well, BradleyBeard.com is it's an older site. People can kind of go there and just see my minimalistic style. I don't offer anything on there. We're in the process of getting a new site, hopefully revamped within the next year. And then I have my Fear What You Wear site, which we've got a new site that should be going live soon as well. It's basically just an update, but my Fear What You Wear is my apparel line, and I developed that as a way to be able to give people something a little different with my artwork, not necessarily the horror host or monster art, but just some cool apparel to wear that is in my artistic style.
All right, so besides revamping a lot of art from the series for October, what else are you working on right now?
Well, I just actually finished up a line of Alien Area 51 Roswell themed apparel that we were actually I was getting ready to launch at the Roswell Alien Fest last weekend, July 3rd, 4th, and 5th in Roswell. But with the whole COVID coronavirus thing, the festival got canceled. So I'm pretty much going to just, I'm holding off on that and relaunch it next year when we go down there. And right now, just working on a lot of new horror hosts for the October finale. That's basically what I've been working on lately. It's just new hosts that nobody's, that a lot of people aren't familiar with. And there's a lot of really, really cool hosts that have emerged over the past 5 years with really unique personalities and makeup and everything. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun for me to tap into that. And the one thing I like about what I'm doing right now is when I had to do the original 13 months, it was a piece a day. So I had to have that done, by the time, by the end of the day, it had to be done. Now I'm able to take a little more time in the development of what I do. So the style has evolved. So the portraits that I'm doing now are going to be, little, you'll notice a difference in between them and what I have been presenting lately. I have thrown in some newer stuff, that you can see has evolved the style, such as my Nina, Rachel Grana's Nina in February. That's one of my newer pieces. Ms. Monster, Lon Mad Night. I did a new one of him. So, but that's basically what I've been doing, just getting this ready for the finale, because I want a lot of new cool stuff for people to see.
So obviously you're a big horror fan. What are some of your early horror influences and memories? Like, what got you into horror?
What got me into horror was the first thing was when I think I was like 5 years old. I looked in the TV guide and I saw the movie Frankenstein was going to be on Creature Feature. This is back in the late 60s, early 70s. And it's probably about 1970, actually. And I asked my dad if I could watch it. And he wasn't sure, but he let me watch it. And ever since I saw Frankenstein, I mean, that was the defining moment for me getting into horror. And also, one of the things was when I was a kid, I remember going into the grocery store and seeing Basil Gogos' cover to Famous Monsters, the one with the creature from the Black Lagoon on it. And it was so compelling to me to see the creature in his, just the visual representation of seeing it in these vivid colors that he presented. It blew my mind, and I saw the name, I saw the word Gogos at the bottom, and I said, "What is a Gogos?" You know, I was 7 years old, and so I did my research and found out Basil, of course, was the artist, and that was a moment when I said, "Wow, I can actually be an artist and have my art on the cover of a magazine. I could draw monsters, and and those were two of the moments that really got me into the horror genre and becoming a horror artist."
Cool, man. So has the COVID thing, has that kept you, has that prevented you from doing any art? Like, have you been stuck, like, doing all your work at home now so you can't do your art, or has it just been normal?
Well, I basically, been doing all my stuff at home. The biggest thing, it prevented me from doing the Roswell Festival, because that was a big event that we were really, really, getting ready for and putting a lot behind that. But as for artwork, no, I work from home as an artist, so I just basically sit here all day and do my artwork, and it hasn't put any damper on that at all.
Cool, man. Well, before we wrap up, is there anything you want to add? Anything you want to plug?
Just not really too much to add. I just, again, thank you guys for giving me the opportunity for the interview today. As for a plug, if you haven't seen David's video where he is as Dr. Fearless on the Count Crowley site, you got to check it out. It's a great video. It's got David as Dr. Fearless, Marlena Midnight, Professor Anton Griffin, and Ormond Grimsby. And it's one of the coolest horror host events that I've seen in a while. It was really a unique take on the genre, and I think David is bringing something new to the genre, that an influx of new blood, so to speak. So definitely check that out if you haven't seen it yet.
Sure, man.
Well, I got a quick question for you too.
Yes.
Considering you mentioned Frankenstein a little bit ago as kind of one of the first characters you saw, when you were younger. Would you call him your favorite horror icon? And if not, who would it be?
Yeah, I would have to say he is. Frankenstein, portrayed by Karloff, definitely one of the tops. I'm also a huge Creature from the Black Lagoon fan. But the Universal Monster, the Universal Monsters are big for me, because when I grew up, I watched Creature Feature, and it was the Universal Shock Theater package back at that time. So as a kid, I saw a lot of that. It's pretty much Universal Monsters, but I'm a big, huge fan of the Hammer films and the whole genre in just particular. I love it. I love the character-driven horror. So
cool, man. Well, Bradley Baird, thank you for hanging out for a few minutes with us. We'll get this posted soon. Not sure exactly when, but it should be some point this month. But yeah, man, thanks for taking the time and hanging out, and I'm sure we'll be in touch soon.
Well, thank you again. I love the opportunity, and I appreciate it, and just thank you so much for offering me, man. I really appreciate it, and I'm gonna go back and check out all your horror host posts as well. So I might gain a little information on that I don't know already. So that's cool too.
Yeah, maybe one day down the road we'll collab on something.
That would be cool, man. We could do that.
Right on, man. Well, take care.
Okay, guys, have a great evening, and thank you so much again.
Thank you. You as well.
And we're back. Thanks again to Bradley Beard for taking time to discuss his art and love of monster flicks with us. Definitely chat with that guy again soon. And be sure to find and follow him on social media, support his work, check out his store. We'll post links to all that stuff for you guys. And thanks again for listening to the Steve and Crypto Show. We'll chat with you soon. Later, guys.